Hey everybody, it's Daniel here from InfoUs. Hope you're all doing well. So I want to talk about Bitcoin futures, right? The Bitcoin micro futures contract. And I want to talk about a little bit about the positioning. So it's very interesting to see that large speculators back in last year at the bottom of Bitcoin, when Bitcoin dropped to around 15,000, you had large institutions, and these were speculators, large speculators accumulating Bitcoin at very high levels. And since then, right, Bitcoin at 16K rallied all the way to around the 31K level. So really, really nice return there on Bitcoin. At the same time, the small speculators were slightly long, not so heavy in terms of a long position, but that has changed now, right? So we saw large speculators massively long, as you know, people would call them the whales, the sharks, um, back in last year in November, December. But that has completely shifted. Large speculators are no longer long, right? They actually start to get rid of their long position and go net short. And large speculators are actually, I wouldn't say it's a large net short position, but it's a slight net short position on Bitcoin, while small speculators have gone net long. So you have a big, difference between the small speculators, which are the retail traders. They're long around the 30K levels, buying Bitcoin at the current levels right now, and the large speculators are actually short, net short. Now it's not a huge amount, right, in terms of the long position for the small speculator, although it is much different than a year back in November, December of last year. So it is significantly higher. And same with the short position, it is quite a difference, but it's a small short position from the large speculators. So what does this tell us here? Right? If you go back November, December, that large speculators were piling in, going long, and then lo and behold, we then saw, a year later, now, right, Bitcoin going up from 15, 16K to 30K, right? And and small speculators were not really on the bandwagon on this trade. Now you see the opposite, where the large speculators are mostly short, net short, and the retail are net long. Now, it would be nice to see how this progress over time, and it'll be very interesting to see that if the small speculators and the retail traders continue to add, right? Recently, Bitcoin had a massive drop, right? It dropped from around the 30K level down to 26K, right? And it's just sitting there around the 26K level. It'll be interesting to see if you see the small speculators add up, load up, right? And even if price action, right, goes up, and let's say prices go back to 30K, or even goes up to 40K, makes a high in for the year. It'll be interesting to see how the positioning is between the large speculators versus the small speculators. And it'll be interesting to see if small speculators add more into their position while the large ones are shorting, and getting net short. And it makes you think that, do they see something that maybe the small retail traders don't see? Could there be a short-term credit event, some sort of, again, recession crash, that causes Bitcoin to then drop, and then those large speculators end up reversing their net short, making the profits on their net short, and then reversing it to a long position and going net long, right? And then maybe retail switching from being long to then maybe flat or short, And that will be very interesting to see. And if that happens, right, you could speculate that, the next dip could be back around maybe the same levels of November, December, or close to it, or maybe lower, depending how short the large speculators get and how long the small speculators get, right? And then that completely flipping and changing, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm pro Bitcoin. I believe long term Bitcoin's going higher for sure. But in terms of the short term, I think we could see some turbulence, and if there's a credit event, then, and maybe if it's not banking related, then maybe we might see Bitcoin drop again, and then large speculators coming to scoop up the Bitcoin, right? And don't forget, you got halving next year that can cause Bitcoin to shoot up, and also you've got this ETF from BlackRock that is still yet to be approved. And if that all happens, right, in the span of during this credit event, I think that would be one very interesting, and I think that would be a really good opportunity for Bitcoin bulls, right, to load up. And if I was a large speculator or institution, I would probably also utilize that opportunity to load up and add into Bitcoin and go long during that time, right? And it's just so interesting to see that before BlackRock announced its ETF that it wanted to launch, it's so interesting to see that last year, November, December, they were accumulating, right? And they were accumulating this Bitcoin, and lo and behold, you got this ETF, and lo and behold, Bitcoin rallied from 15K to 30K, right? So makes me wonder, do they now see Bitcoin dropping here again, short term, temporary, before the next run up? Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below, subscribe, hit the like button, bell icon to be notified on the next video, and I'll see you guys around. Cheers, bye.